You're listening to FairPlay on justicenews.net.
Welcome to FairPlay. I'm your host, Imran Siddiqui. Lydell Grant from Houston in Texas spent 9.5 years in prison for a murder he did not commit. Innocent and yet ended up paying a heavy price for someone else's crime with no fault of his own. And joining me today is Lydell Grant himself. Thank you for joining me and welcome to FairPlay, Lydell.
I thank FairPlay for having me. How you doing?
We're doing good. We'll just do a quick recap about how you're doing. But before that, you were arrested in 2010 for the murder of Aaron Shearhorn outside a nightclub in the Montrose district of Houston. 6 eyewitnesses looked at a photo lineup and identified you as the killer. And at that time, you said, let me quote you here, "I don't care if you have 600 witnesses. I didn't kill him."
Yeah.
Still, they didn't listen to you, nor looked at the evidence pointing towards your innocence, and they went ahead and wrongfully convicted you in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And now Jermerico Carter confessed to the murder.
Uh-huh.
How does it feel to be right, even though it took a decade?
I'm glad you asked that question. I mean, you got to understand that for me to be sitting in the prison without being able to speak up for myself, let me say that, without me being able to speak up for myself and to hear, or see the comments posted and what the news media was saying about me from what they was hearing or their speculations. I mean, now I'm out and I proved to the world. It's a great feeling to be able to sit back and say, now what?
Yeah.
Now what? I mean, everybody had something to say about me in this situation, but now that I have proved to not only the naysayers, the haters, but I was able to prove to a multitude of people that I am innocent and that what I've been saying from the get-go, it still remains. I am actually innocent. I never committed this crime. I never knew the victim, nor did I ever know the suspect. I don't know none of them people at all. Never talked to them, never seen them a day in my life, But I am glad that I came out on top with the truth, and everybody now know the truth. I know it's going to be a percentage of the world that's going to have their own beliefs and, their own opinions. But, hey, that's life. In a situation like this here, it's like this. When someone is killed, just say for instance, if someone killed my brother or someone killed my sister or however the case may be, I'm going to be so bitter that it happened. In reality, yeah, I would want them to get the right person, but inside, I want somebody to pay for it. And just say, for instance, the police were able to go and get a suspect. I mean, I feel as though the case was solved, whether I know if it's the right one or the wrong one. Just knowing somebody got arrested for killing a family member of mine, in reality, that would be satisfaction to me. Now, on the other end, if it's the right one or the wrong one, that's a different story. But I'm just saying that there to let you know that's how people think, and that's how society is, which I am aware of. So therefore, I don't pay close attention to the negative talk. It's still some people believe that I did it.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you argue against DNA? The actual suspect confessing to what he did.
Yeah.
How could you argue against that?
You got to be blind to be able to do that if you're arguing against.
And that's what justice was trying to do. That's what the justice system was trying to do. Turn a blind eye to the truth. Now, don't you know this? They had evidence that was ignored, and I would like to say that I believe it was intentionally ignored. They had evidence that Jermerico Carter killed the victim. They had evidence of this way in the beginning.
Wow.
They ignored it, totally ignored it. Didn't even follow up on it. And then the detective, Eli Cisneros, who was the homicide lead and detective, he was a sergeant at the time, he was just crooked as hell, man. I mean, this guy here,
Wow.
He did any and everything that he had to do to put this case on me, when in fact, he knew that I wasn't the suspect.
Wow.
We need to know, because a lot of people, they don't know about this individual. He's the main reason, besides the prosecutor, he's the main reason of my wrongful conviction.
Wow. You told your mom that you would be back, knowing that it could have taken you decades. Do you think you made it out earlier?
Yes, I did, and I thank God for that. I mean, you can go back and look at some of my interviews that I have done previously, and Google my name, Lydell Grant, release, and you'll see that I had my mind frame transformed to think positive. But right before they remanded me into the custody of the Harris County Sheriff's Department, before they did that, I was sitting there thinking, okay, they found me guilty. These folks finna give me some time. I didn't know how much time they were gonna give me, but they said life, man. All I could think about was, I'm not gonna be able to do this. Before that, I had did 15 years in prison on something that I did do, and I was out for 5 years doing good. I pursued my music career, and I was just about to, blow up. I was right at that peak, man. Them 5 years that I was out, it was like 3 years of hard grinding and hard work that I put into, pursuing my music career. And right at the tip of it, right when I was finna blow and go, national, this situation happened. So I say that to say this: God had another plan for me. My plan wasn't His plan. And when I was in prison, God was working on me, and I discovered that, hey, I got better things for you to do, because once I realized that, hey, man, what I was doing in the beginning, God didn't approve of that. He didn't approve of the lyrics that I was writing. He didn't approve of me, delivering this type of language or this type of content to the public. So He snatched he felt as though that was the only way to get my attention. Well, God wants your attention. It don't matter what it is. He's going to do whatever it takes to get your attention, man. If it calls for a near-death situation, whatever it takes for Him to get your attention and for you to call on Him, He's going to do that. And me, I'm a living proof. God snatched my whole life. When I thought right when I thought everything was going good for me and everything was happening for me, hey, God snatched my life completely away from me and placed me in a situation to where I was separated, and I was separated from everything and everybody. Where that way He had my full divided attention. And guess what I did? Once I realized that He was in control, that's when I started looking at this situation in a spiritual realm. This is God's doing. That's why I was able to say that I'm not mad at nobody. Who I'm going to be mad at? I can't be mad at nobody, because God is in control. If this was part of the process that I had to go through to get to where I am today, hey, I don't regret none of it. I don't regret none of it, bro.
You've seen it from inside and out. Why do you think it's so difficult to get an innocent man out of wrongful convictions or wrongful imprisonment?
Oh, that's a good question. This is what I think. And you correct me if I'm wrong, or if you agree with me, let me know. But this is what I believe. For them to convict an innocent man in the beginning, it got to be some type of acknowledgement that what they're doing, they are aware of. Because here it is on the flip side. Now, if you're not aware of something that you did wrong, you wouldn't be so disputive about. You wouldn't dispute it. You wouldn't hesitate to answer. You wouldn't hesitate to respond. You wouldn't hesitate. It's a lot of things that you wouldn't do if you didn't know, or if you wasn't aware of something that you did wrong. Now, if you knew that you did something wrong, and you know in your heart that you did it wrong, guess what you're going to try to do? You're going to try to cover it up.
Cover it up. That's the only answer, yeah.
Because why? You don't want to be proved wrong. You don't want to look bad. You don't want people to lose trust into you. So therefore, you're going to try everything in your power to try to cover up what you did wrong.
Wow.
That's only when you know that you did wrong. But if you didn't know, guess what? You're always open up for, the truth.
Acknowledgement.
Corrections. You're always open up for that.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I didn't try to do that. I mean, you're apologetic. Still today, I haven't received anything from the state. I mean, they didn't apologize. I don't look for it. I don't give a damn about no apology. That ain't gonna change my life. You know what I'm saying? What happened, man. That's why it ain't good for me to sit back and ponder over, they locked me up. I mean, say, man, I've been fighting all my life. I'm black. I'm black in America, man. I've been fighting all my life. Discriminated against, stereotyped, prejudged. I'm used to it. It don't matter. It don't matter to me, because what man say about me, God say different. And that's what it's about. It's about what God thinks, not what men think. God said, don't never put trust in men, because they'll fail you every time. I don't put my trust in the system. I don't put my trust in the prosecutors. I don't put my trust in no judge. I don't put my trust in no detectives, man, no police officer, because they are human just like me. I respect authority, but I don't trust in them at all, man. My trust is in the Lord.
You're listening to Fair Play on justicenews.net. This is Fair Play on justicenews.net.
Welcome back to Fair Play. I'm your host, Imran Siddiqui, and today we're speaking with Lydell Grant, who fought against his wrongful conviction in 2010 for a murder he did not commit, but spent almost a decade in prison for that. What role do you think DNA evidence played in your exoneration?
Well, it played a huge and significant role in my exoneration. I mean, I thank God for DNA, because there's always in the back of my mind this question. If it wasn't for DNA, I'd still be in prison.
Wow.
I would still be in prison. The role that it played, the significant role that it played in my situation, it was able to identify the actual perpetrator. It was able to substantiate the facts that was given in my situation. Now, they said that the suspect wrestled, tussled, scuffled. It was physical contact during this melee. Okay? They said Lydell Grant is the one who's responsible for this tragic death. So they placed me as being the sole suspect. Said that I did it, I acted alone. All right? So therefore, if I am the one, or if I was the one who committed the crime, and me and the victim wrestled, as I was stabbing him, then don't you believe, or don't you think that DNA that was underneath his fingernails, come on, this is underneath the fingernails, how else would someone DNA go up under another person's fingernail? How could that happen if you're not the person who did it.
Yeah.
Or if you're not the person that he last encountered with. Now you got to understand when I tell you this, the suspect was stabbed, according to court documents, he was stabbed away from the club where he ran to. He ran to the club, in desperate need of help, and was turned away. The victim was outpowered by the suspect, but before he was outpowered, he put up a struggle. He put up a fight. So therefore, that interaction right there could, or as we now know, was the reason that someone else's DNA was up underneath his fingernail. Because you got to realize the victim, he didn't go anywhere else. He died right there on the scene. One person interacted with this victim. They saying that it's Lydell Grant, but we don't have nothing to substantiate that. But we do have an unknown DNA. We do have Lydell Grant known DNA. We do have the victim's known DNA. This unknown DNA doesn't match neither one of these that's allegedly to be involved in the stabbing. The victim's DNA, that's not his, and Grant's DNA, that's not mine. So don't you know that that unknown DNA went unaccounted for throughout my whole trial.
Wow.
It wasn't even no question raised about who did it belong to.
They wanted to bury it.
Why not? Why not? My lawyer, Craig Stills, sorry as hell, an incompetent lawyer, man, very incompetent. I mean, he performed the worst performance I ever seen a lawyer perform, man, which now shows me that he was in cahoots. He conspired with elected officials to sustain a wrongful conviction, man. My lawyer, my trial attorney, he didn't hire no DNA expert to combat the testimony of the state's DNA expert. He didn't even consult with a DNA expert to have the DNA expert to interpret the results from the DNA testing of the evidence collected and preserved by the Houston Police Department. He totally ignored that area of my case and was able to establish some, bullshit defense that I consider bullshit of wrong misidentification. Man, if he would have got a DNA expert, which I was entitled to by law, because can't no indigent individual have a fair trial with the state if they don't get all the facilities, favorable evidence, in his behalf, man. That's just like a boxer going inside the boxing ring with no gloves.
Yeah.
Or his hands tied behind his back. He's placed at a disadvantage. And that's how it was in my situation. I had 3 or 4 prosecutors on my case before, the final DNA tried the case. A lot of them didn't even want to try it. What was their reason? Only they know. You know what I'm saying? But I had three different prosecutors that was in attempt to try this murder case, but they bagged out for some reason or another. And this last prosecutor, which her name is Gretchen Flater, Miss Flater, she tried the case anyway, and she got what she wanted. But little do you know that God don't never sleep. He sits up high and he looks down low. He sees everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Don't you know that this woman was later? This is later on down the line after my trial. She was popped and fired from the Harris County District Attorney's Office by Kim Ogg due to prosecutorial misconduct.
Wow.
So she got a history of doing it. And the lawyer who found this out, it was Randy Schaefer. Randy Schaefer represented a client and on appeal, and due to his investigation, he was able to discover that Gretchen Flater was a corrupt and vindictive prosecutor, man. But check this out. She was fired from here, and she just went to the neighboring county, which was, I believe, she worked in Montgomery County now. She's still the prosecutor, but she just moved to another county.
Wow.
How could that be?
Do you think the CCA and the Harris County Prosecutor's Office should be ashamed of themselves once the truth comes out?
I mean, in reality, yes, I believe so. But they don't believe so. Shit, they've been doing it for years. They comfortable with doing what they've been doing. It's just not too many people get the opportunity to do what I've done. Fight them and win. I knew victory was mine from the get-go because I didn't do it. My question is, how can you convict a actual innocent man or woman? How can you convict them without cheating or without lying or without, violating their constitutional right? There's no way possible that you can win a trial without cheating when you're trying to convict an actual innocent person. And actual innocent means that you're not the individual who committed the crime because you wasn't there. Your time can be accounted for. So I always told myself, it's something that I gotta find that they did wrong in my case if I want to get back into these courts, because the courts do not respect pro se litigants.
Wow.
You can have evidence submitted with your writ or with your appeal. You can have evidence submitted. You can submit it to them. They're going to find a way to knock you down. Why? Because you are already where they want you to be. You are in their world. When you go to prison, it's like leaving the real world, going into a whole nother world. Prison is a world within the world. It's its own world. And you got the corruption that's in that world, and it's hard for you to really expose it because you got to understand, they are in control of everything. Your movement, they're in control of what you can say, what you can't say, how you communicate with people, and they going through it thoroughly, bro. They going through your mail. They reading your mail. They'll throw your mail away. You write a grievance up. It'll never make it to the person that it needs to make it to. And if it do make it to them, they're finding some kind of excuse or a lame answer to respond back to you with. I mean, it's all covered up, man. It only takes people like you and other individuals who the Innocent Project of Texas. It takes people like y'all to get involved from the outside and take all the information that we present to y'all from the inside, and y'all do something with it. That's the only way that an individual who's incarcerated can get heard or get acknowledged or recognized for any type of wrongdoing, whether it be in the prison or what sent them to prison. It takes somebody on the outside that's willing to stand up and fight for justice to, get that out into the public.
In my interviews, I've come across a lot of reporting that people did, let's say, a decade or 20 years ago, and it was all false reporting, which was basically obtained from the police officers and snitches and informants.
Exactly.
But they never went back to correct it, and it's still existing. And it's just shocking that people and those organizations call themselves reporters and journalists. But what role do you think the media actually plays in destroying or rebuilding an innocent man's life?
They the main. They are the main. Whether it be true, whether it be false, whether it be speculation, whether it be assumptions, they don't give a damn. It's about covering the story, and to me, it's getting views. To get the viewers, they gotta. In order to keep something going on, you gotta have a lot of support. You gotta have supporters. You gotta have people that bag you up. I mean, and for me, I believe that a lot of these news stations and things of that nature, broadcast stations, even with the and not to get off the subject, but I just gotta throw this in there. Even with the election, you had what you call fake news.
Yeah.
I've been following that real closely, and I'm not even into politics, but it was just something about, this election and what's going on around the world. Yeah, a lot of these outlets, man, they'll throw out whatever they can to destroy an individual before they even get the facts, man. And like you say, they don't even go back. Once they do get the true facts, they don't even go back and correct and say, hey, we messed up, we made a mistake. We want to bring y'all an update on what's going on this situation or this that we reported live from, and we want to make a correction. They don't even do that. They don't have no regards whatsoever, man. Even with the prosecutor that sent me to prison, even with the detective who conducted a shabby investigation, do you think everybody reached out to me that didn't even have nothing to do with this wrongful incarceration, and they were so apologetic, and I'm trying to figure out why are you? I never asked them, but I'm asking myself, why are these people apologizing to me, and they not the ones who did nothing? I don't even know them. They were like, oh, I'm so sorry that you had to go through that, and your story, it inspired me. I heard you speak, and man, for you to come out and be smiling and not bitter, that really showed me a whole lot. And it made me think about it. I get these stories daily, still today, man. And this is nothing that I set myself out to say. It's not about me. It's about what God can do in an impossible situation. This is a life learned lesson, and if it can inspire others, I want my story to do just that, man, because that's what I stand for. That's my purpose in life, and I discovered that purpose in this situation right here. Because when I was in prison, man, a lot of people used to come to me with their problems. I was a barber in there, so everybody come to the barber shop, but I would always try to figure out, man, why the hell everybody coming to me? I got my own problem. I'm in prison for something I didn't do. But you know what? It was a voice that came in and said, take your eyes off yourself. You got to be the light while you're in the hole. I was like, God, I know this ain't the way you want my life to end. I didn't even get to do nothing in my life. This ain't, because I've been locked up really pretty much a majority of my life, and I was just trying to figure it out, and that's when the voice came to me, take your eyes off yourself, and you got to be a servant. You got to be a servant while you at the bottom. And I obeyed that voice.
This is Fair Play on justicenews.net. This is Fair Play on justicenews.net.
Welcome back to Fair Play. I'm your host, Imran Siddiqui, and today we're speaking with Lydell Grant, who fought against his wrongful conviction in 2010 for a murder he did not commit, but spent almost a decade in prison for that. Do you think it's easy to get out and you're innocent, but the society and the system kind of puts a tattoo on you that is difficult to break?
Well, to be precise and specific, it wouldn't be easy. No, it wasn't. It wouldn't. It wouldn't be easy because you got to understand, they portrayed to the world as me being this type of individual. Now, for the people who know me, I mean, I can come out like right now today and be looked upon as a person who went to prison and endured such hardship, and I was messed over. Yeah, those people that know me, that's their outlook on the situation. But the ones who don't know me, whether they be in another country, another state, another city, another county, however, for the ones who don't know me, it's going to be hard for them to accept the fact that the Justice Department yet again made another mistake.
Wow.
They're looking at the fact, especially the racist ones, but for the ones who feel some type of way, they're looking at the situation only to their likening. Oh, he's black. It was a white victim. He did it. He got a criminal record. He shouldn't have got exonerated. Woo woo woo. But what is the argument for when the evidence proved to the world?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be no dispute. It shouldn't be no argument. It shouldn't be no comments as far as negative comments. None of that there. But like I told you earlier in the beginning of the interview, it's going to be a percentage of the world that really believe that I did it and I got away with it. But I didn't get away with it because I didn't do it.
Yeah.
You only beat the system when you did a crime and you get away with it. That's when you beat the system. I didn't beat the system. I wasn't trying to beat the system. All I was trying to do was prove my innocence and prove to the world that I didn't commit this crime. That's the only thing that was on my mind. And I think with the help of God, who was in control of all things and this situation, with the help of him, man, I was able to do that there, man. And I was able to do it with a smile. I wasn't smiling, that, I got over. I was smiling because finally I'm in a position that I envisioned years ago. Finally, I'm in that position to tell the world the truth. Now the world gets to know the truth. And that's all I was really focused on while I was at the bottom, incarcerated in that hellhole, man. I was thinking about that day of me coming out and telling the world and proving to the world I didn't do it.
Beautiful. Now, what's next for Lydell?
The next chapter of my life is just really right now is enhancing my education as far as what I have a passion for, and that's music. I'm pursuing my music career. I'm going to school. I was supposed to start in May, like I told you, but they wanted some more paperwork for me to get my financial aid. They wanted to know why I didn't enlist until the selective service at the age of 26, but I was incarcerated, so that kind of delayed me from starting school in this month. So now it's been pushed back to August, and what I have to do is I have to get my final conviction and sentencing paperwork and submit it to the selected service build office and prove to them and show them that I was incarcerated, which it didn't disable me. It disabled me from signing up to the select service at the age of 26. Because I was incarcerated from 16 to 29.
Man, I mean, these people are working about selective services after destroying someone's life. It's crazy. But what do you think we can do for those more than 50 or 50,000 or more probably people that a lot of critics have said are still in the prison and there's evidence that they're innocent. What can we do for those people?
Man, we would have to come up with some type of plan. So, I mean, this was. If you were to ask that question to, you know, some other people, whatever, I mean, you probably would get answers, you know, great response. But the thing is this: we want the right response. I mean, what is it that's where we at right now? What is it that we can do to help them that's incarcerated, that are actually innocent, man? I mean, because like I tell you, a lot of them guys down there that are actually innocent, they didn't either got down there and got into the prison life. They didn't got down there and, you know, threw their hands up and just accepted the fact that they been messed over, or, you know, they didn't got into prison and was. And I mean, majority of, and this is the God honest truth. This is what I found out because I was the one helping them. But a lot of them guys, they can't read or write.
Wow.
You don't know who to go to. So how can you tell somebody?
What role do you think race plays in the U.S. criminal justice system?
It plays a significant role, man. I believe that, you know, really to be truthfully, man, the system was designed to incarcerate black American men to keep them from the population, man. I mean, you take the black male up out of the home. That breaks up the family right there, you know. Then it leaves the mother to defend for the child, the children.
Wow.
A mother can only do so much.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about it, man. A greater percentage of African Americans incarcerated than you do out free in society. So there's more African Americans locked up in prison than it is African Americans out here in society, man.
Okay.
I mean, people get the most time for the smallest crimes. I just don't be understanding it, man. You know, we did it. We did it while we was in prison. Me and some inmates that was in there with me that I pretty much associated with, and we would literally go around asking, you know, certain individuals, different races, white and black, or white and Hispanic, or black and Hispanic. We'll go around asking questions, you know, what was your crime? How much time did you get for it? And we would compare them, and man, don't you know that, bro, they give out time, more time to blacks than they do any other race, man. I mean, they said, how can you give a person double life sentence, or 100 years, or 99, or 55, and you don't have no evidence whatsoever of them committing that crime that they're alleged to have committed, and sentence them to prison like that, man? I mean, how can a person do that and still sleep with themselves, man?
If Texas has most exonerations, we can only guess how many
people that
exactly are innocent in there, man.
In prison that are innocent right now.
Yeah. I mean, they don't even have any data available. Like, nobody even wants to go and check it out, man.
Man, and you have a lot of people in prison, man, right now that are actually innocent, bro. A lot of people.
Because if Texas leads the nation in exonerations, then you can just imagine what is under that tip of the iceberg.
They haven't been discovered yet.
How was your experience in there, man? I mean, you can't put it in words until you make a movie about it, probably. I mean, and then meeting those people that you think are innocent.
Man, just being incarcerated and knowing that you are actually innocent, you never know. You got that voice in your head that's gonna be telling you all the time, man. You don't know if you're gonna get out alive or you're gonna die in here. That's something that was constantly going through my mind, man. I mean, I haven't even lived. I haven't even lived it. For me to go to prison and experience it, and I told myself, I'm never going back to prison. I meant that. And then here it is out of nowhere, come along and pick me up for a murder that I know I didn't commit, and for them to charge me with it, man, that was like very, very harsh on me. But I had to stand up, not get angry and be mad, but I had to stand up and use my mind. I had to think, man. I had to think my way through this situation. And that's what I did. And I thank God that he gave me the strength to continue getting up and fighting, man.
Wow.
But to add to that, this is what I really believe that should be done. It should be some type of law. It's some, that we can enact into the legislation and have it to where detectives and prosecutors are held accountable for their action if one can prove that they acted maliciously and vindictively. They should be held accountable. And when I say held accountable, I'm not talking about no slap on the wrist. I'm not talking about no 2 or 3 days in jail like they did in Michael Morton case. I'm talking about send their ass to prison for multiple years so they can get the experience, right? And get to be the feel of how it feels to be treated less than a human, how it feels to be treated like an animal. Nowadays, I don't even like to see a dog tied up to a tree or tied up here because I know how that feel, man. I don't even want to see an animal behind a cage because that's how I know how it feels. That's how I was, man. And that's just to explain to you how I felt, during my incarceration. To be fed through a slot. You in a cage and they pushing your food through a little slot, a door that barely opened up. Man, I mean, it's so dehumanizing, man. Very dehumanizing.
This is Fair Play on JusticeNews.net. This is Fair Play on JusticeNews.net.
Welcome back to Fair Play. I'm your host, Imran Siddiqui, and today we're speaking with Lydell Grant, who fought against his wrongful conviction in 2010 for a murder he did not commit, but spent almost a decade in prison for that. When we have these archaic, unjust laws, why haven't they been changed?
That's a good question.
Why do you think they don't want it to be changed?
I mean, anything that works in your favor, do you want it to change to where it be against you? Or it be against what you're setting up? Don't nobody want anything that's against what they're trying to push forward. So, good question. Why they haven't been changed? Why are we steady in this day and time stuck with laws that was created years ago? Time brings a change, and we must change with the time.
Wow.
Time brings a change, and we must change with the time. It all correlates to this right here. This is the question I want to ask you. Why do we still have justices on the panel of the Court of Criminal Appeals Court? They are at the age of 82 or 70. They're in their 70s and their 80s. Why do we still have them on the panel? Why are they still with the position that they have, man?
Yeah.
I don't understand that. We need to get a new generation of people up in that on that panel, that have a different mindset, a different mind frame of thinking.
They're waiting for their retirement, man. They want their retirement and their paychecks. But, it's funny.
Man.
Praise to God. Your question brought me to my question, which I had asked a person in position, that why is it that when we know that a judge who was wrong made the wrong judgment, and we know the prosecutor was wrong, made the wrong prosecution, why haven't these guys faced any jail time? And the answer that I received was, Oh, because they have protection.
Why would they in place that though? Why would they try to protect them, from being punished for doing wrong? Why would they in place that? Why would they enact that law?
The role of a fair and unbiased jury. What do you think that is?
I think if that was happening today, I believe that it would shut down a lot of the prosecutorial misconduct. It would shut down a lot of the wrongful convictions that we face today, man. Because you got to understand, the jurors, they are laymen. They are laymen. So in terms of legal terminology, scientific terminology, jurors go in, first of all, not wanting to do that job. They don't want to do jury duty. And when they do, or when they are picked, I mean, it's like, hey, I'm ready for this to get over with, yada, yada, yada. Just imagine if a trial lasts 2 weeks. Do you honestly believe that they're going to remember the first 2 days of them 2 weeks when the trial is about to end?
Yeah.
They're not gonna remember that. It's gonna be bits and pieces of the trial that they're going to remember. That's just reality speaking. That's reality speaking. Because can't no human being remember everything of every situation. Look at me. I mean, the witnesses said this and said that, but they were wrong.
Yeah.
So it's not going to be a part in no human being mind to where they can remember everything specifically down to a core of science. Man, so what I'm saying is this: them jurors, they come in, they don't want to be there, then they looking at the fact that, oh, it's a crime, and don't let it be no crime where it's a black a suspect and it's a white victim, whether it was a rape case or a murder case or a robbery or whatever. Don't let it be that. You know what I'm saying? Because they're going to be looking at, okay, this is a black guy. He looked like a criminal. He did do it. They're not even paying attention to the facts of the case, and they're not paying attention to the law because they don't know the law.
Yeah.
How a layman going to interpret the law when they don't know the law? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Lack of knowledge of the law and prejudging a person by looking at them. I think a lot of jurors go in that way, not wanting to be there. So they're looking at the fact that, okay, this is a woman. She got raped. She said that it was him. She's positive. Okay, he did it.
Yeah.
They not paying attention to what's going on, what took place. You know, their mind is not capturing that. And then you got to look at the prosecutor as well. They're not going to present favorable evidence, which will taint their case. They're not going to present that. It's up to your lawyer to go and discover this type of information, man. And the only way that he or she can discover this information is by a thorough, keyword, a thorough investigation.
Yeah.
That means going back to the scene of the crime, you know, trying to reenact the situation, you know, try to talk to witnesses or anybody that have any type of information, you know, pertaining to this situation. An incompetent lawyer never does that, man.
Yeah.
Because you got to realize a court-appointed attorney, they do not get paid what they feel as though they deserve or they feel as though a lawyer supposed to get. They get so for instance, in my situation, I think, you know, my lawyer got like $320 just for my case.
That's exactly what I wanted to ask you. Do you think public defenders are given more incentives to entice them to support someone who's wrongfully convicted?
Man, I mean, I believe they play a role in. I mean, you got to understand, the people who work for the judicial system, man. You know, and that's all the way from the stenographer, the one who's transcribing, you know, the words into a transcript all the way to the judge, and everything in between, the bailiff, the secretary, the probation officers inside the court, the prosecutor, the judge, all that there, they play some type of role in sending innocent people to prison, because you got to understand, the state is for the state. They're not going to go against one another, man.
Yeah.
Say for instance, in my case, I was given a public defender for trial, and I already named you, a couple of things that he didn't do that he was supposed to do. And don't you know that was ineffective? He performed ineffectively, So here it is. I go to prison. I'm in prison I'm 2 years into this life sentence that they gave me, and I discovered that I could file a motion to have DNA evidence that was collected and that is still in the possession of police custody and care. I can have it tested if I feel as though, it can prove my innocence. Well, before I found that out, 2.5 years, 3 years into my sentence, I was studying my transcripts and just trying to figure out what was taking place. Well, I filed the motion after I was able to do a thorough research on it and understand it, and I filed the motion, man. But the judge, 2 years, I say 8 months. 8 months after I filed the motion, the court appointed me a lawyer for me to get DNA tested. Mm-hmm. All right. This lawyer that the court appointed, he worked for the same law firm, the public defender's office. Mm. Okay. He sat on my case for 2 years. Shit. Didn't do nothing. He wrote me some bullshit letters asking me, how do I believe? He said, I just want to know, how can DNA evidence in your case prove your actual innocence? What? And this is what, man, this is what this dude, that's why I'm going to call him a dude, because I really want to say something different, but this is what this dude was writing me, and he wrote the same damn letters to me. And I don't know if he forgot that he sent me the letter already, but he was sending me the same letter. He sent me three letters of the same thing, 3 of the same letters on different times. And I was puzzled. He asked me, he asked me, how can DNA tested prove my innocence, and what evidence do I believe should be tested that can pull? He asked me some stupid ass questions, man. You know what I'm saying?
It's like, are you on my side or are you on the side of the state?
Exactly, and that's when I got discouraged. I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of discouraged, because now I'm feeling like now they trying to hide the real truth. Now that I filed this, now they trying to hide it, and they put him out there. But you know what, man? God is so good, man. I'm talking about, I was going to the law library. This is
the praise to God. These guys,
for real, man.
You're right, because look at what happened.
I'm finna tell you. Hold on.
Okay, go ahead.
You got to hear this, because this is a part that nobody have heard. I swear to God, nobody have heard this. Because as a reporter, they asking questions that comes to their mind, but to actually sit down and to go in depth, I haven't had the opportunity yet. But this is what happened. So they give me another public defender, and the judge appointed this lawyer to me. And by this judge being a judge, he should have known from the get-go that was improper and it was against the law.
Wow.
To do that.
Wow.
But look, I said patiently, trying not to bug or trying not to say too much to this lawyer, because he lost my trust from the beginning. He lost my trust from the beginning when he sent me that first letter. So now I'm like, I don't trust him. I feel like if I let him notify him with anything, it's gonna be some type of it ain't gonna be right. So one day I was in the law library and I was waiting in line to sign in, and a guy that pretty much know me and know my case, he came to me, said, Lydell, he said, man, remember you was telling me about your lawyer, he ain't did nothing, and it's been almost 2 years, yada, yada, yada. I'm like, yeah. He said, well, I got a case law. He said, write the judge up, and you should file a motion for that lawyer to withdraw. Because according to this right here, this case law, 2 lawyers that represent the same law firm and use the same address,
conflict.
The same it's a conflict of interest.
Yep.
It's a conflict.
Yeah.
And I just said, thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
2 years had passed by. This man sat on my case and didn't do nothing. April the 1st, 2013.
You can't even appeal again if you miss some certain time frames, which sounds like bullshit to me.
It's they give you expiration dates. They give you they put a time on everything that you must turn in. I mean, that you willing to turn in or fight. They put a time frame on us, but with them, they ain't got no time frame.
Yeah, the judge hired a counsel for you. The judge appointed a counsel for you who was connected to the same law firm that
public defender's
law office that was prosecuting you.
And yes, he did. And he, as a judge,
wow.
And he, as a judge, he must know that. He got to know that.
Of course. I mean,
you got to know that, man.
Because this action clearly proves that there is no support mechanism within the justice system to help those who know they are innocent.
You're against the system, man. Don't you know that everybody that contributes to my justice, I mean, seriously, they are personal friends of mine now. I mean, all the way up to the woman, Angie Ambers, who was the DNA expert in my case. I mean, these people, I'm forever in debt with them, man, because God sends them, God placed them in my life at the right time. Each individual that had a role in contributing to my exoneration, God placed them in my life at the right time, on His timing, man, and it all came together for the good. Now, this woman here is now after since she have done what she did, and which was tell the truth. That's all she done. Don't you know that she received a bunch of hate mail and emails saying that she's a traitor and
wow.
You crossed the line, and and it made me feel bad for her, man.
They're trying to shame her for telling the truth.
Exactly, man. And she say, a lot of my colleagues, they're mad at me, Lydell, and yada yada. I say, for what? Telling the damn truth? She said, but I don't care. Yeah, they send me emails and they send me messages, and I'm like, Angie, I feel so bad. I apologize. She said, no, I feel bad. She said, I love my job and I love what I do. So, I mean, it goes back to what you were saying, how there's no support. They cover up. But let me tell you this, bro. The truth don't never need no support. The truth is not biased. DNA is not biased. DNA don't lie. I mean, humans lie. Humans lie, man. DNA don't lie. How you gonna argue against scientific evidence? Now here it is. We presented clear and convincing evidence to the Court of Criminal Appeals, which is a requirement that we must pass over. It's a requirement that we must pass over in order to get, the relief that we were seeking for. And once we presented that to them, don't you know, they came up with something else after that. Well, we need y'all to go back and interview the witnesses in this case. Well, when they did that, lo and behold, the witnesses came forward and said, hey, now that everything is played out and we see what's going on, we believe that we were coerced. We were coerced because we told the detective in the beginning that we didn't see no suspect in the photo lineup at all. But he insisted and kept his finger placed on Lydell Grant's picture. So we insinuated that that's who he wanted us to pick. So we picked him because we were there for a long time and we were tired. Yeah. After they was delaying and dragging me, more and more evidence started coming up. More and more evidence started coming up in my favor. So after that, they wanted. Well, in the beginning, they wanted the Jamarico Carter. They wanted his photo,
video evidence,
mug. They wanted his
video testimony or something like that.
Well, at first they wanted his mug shot and the photo lineup. Then they came back and said, "Well, we want
his confession. A
confession. We want the confession. We want to see the confession."
Yeah.
Okay. We send them there. 8 months later, they turned back around and said, "We want y'all to go and interview the witnesses to see if they're going to stick to their story."
Wow.
So it was one thing after another.
That's what Mike said. Your attorney said that he had, in his experience, he had never seen anything as ridiculous as that.
Never. I never seen it. Never. How you gonna argue against scientific evidence?
But doesn't this show that they didn't want to let you go, man? Which is like, what the hell does that mean?
Well, what it showed that they've been doing this for years, getting away with it.
Yeah.
To the point to where they got comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
That's what it said. See, I didn't want to promote the race card. I didn't want to promote that in my situation. See, because I believe in, you can speak things into existence or you can speak things upon yourself. So I didn't want to take the public's eye off of the wrongdoing that they was doing. I didn't want to say, "Oh, I'm black and you got nothing but white." I didn't want to give that to the world. I didn't want to present that because you had the George Floyd, you had all the black police, the Black Lives Matter campaign going, and so I didn't want to intertwine my situation with that. I wanted my situation to remain an isolated situation and the light be shed up on it, man, because it was about wrongdoing. They sent me to prison when in fact they knew from the get-go that I wasn't the guy, but yet still sent me to prison wrongfully, man. Because why? They thought that they were going to be able to get away with it.
Yeah.
When a prosecutor is doing something that they know is wrong and they continue to get away with it, do you think they're going to stop doing it?
No.
That's just like a child. A child would do things behind their parents' back because I once was a child. And we'll keep doing it. We'll keep doing it until they either get caught or they did it enough to where they'll stop ahead of time before they get caught. But they're going to continue to do it. That's my whole point right there.
Yeah.
They're going to continue to do wrongful convictions until the day comes that they either are fed up with themselves of doing the corrupt act or until they get caught. The majority of them do it until they get caught.
Yeah.
They're going to continue to send innocent men and women to prison so long as they are protected by the state with that
immunity. They will, as long as they have immunity, they're going to continue to be corrupt, man.
This is Fair Play on justicenews.net. This is Fair Play on justicenews.net.
Welcome back to Fair Play. I'm your host, Imran Siddiqui, and today we're speaking with Lydell Grant, who fought against his wrongful conviction in 2010 for a murder he did not commit, but spent almost a decade in prison for that. what do you think it will take to reform the criminal justice system? Do you think that we need to unseat the criminal judges and prosecutors in order to reform this entire system?
Of course. I'm in agreement with you on that. I believe so. And I believe that, a lot of trials, they public trials, man. Anybody can come in and sit in on a trial. I believe that a lot of trials need to be under scrutiny, man. I really believe that they need to be watched closely and carefully to whereas, the prosecutor doesn't play foul ball, and to where the judge don't play foul ball with a defendant who's standing on trial fighting for their freedom, especially if they're actually innocent of a crime that they are allegedly to have committed. That word allegedly, you can't convict someone before the trial. You can't go into a trial with your mind set on that this person is guilty. You can't do that because that's wrong and that's not a proper procedure. We are given due process, man. That's a right that we have, and I believe that right is not honored and is violated. We don't get the due process that we so deserve as defendants standing on trial, man. And going into a trial like that, that's biased, and the odds are against the defendant, man. And they say that we have a right to an impartial trial. A lot of them trials are not impartial, brother. Mm-hmm. They're not. From the judge, prosecutor to the jurors. I believe that, in their mind, a crime took place, someone got to pay for it. Whether you did it or not, today, you are standing on trial, and we're going to proceed on. If you didn't do it, well, you'll have to prove your own innocence. But right now, we're taking you to trial because we believe that you did it. With no evidence, they believe that a defendant is guilty of a crime. With no evidence now. With no evidence. Mm. But we're still going to try you anyway. See, that needs to be changed. You can't go to trial with a defendant. You can't take a defendant to trial now unless you have concrete evidence that substantiate these charges. Yeah. We don't get to see the
grand jury.
Grand jury.
Yeah.
We don't never get to see the grand jury process.
Yeah.
And I was told that majority of them are either former FBI agents, ex-cops, ex-sheriffs.
All part of the system.
Exactly, man.
Yeah.
Why is that shit done in secret?
Yeah, it needs to be changed.
Just like the CCA.
Yeah.
That stuff is done in secret, man.
And it's just like an assembly line, man. And then everyone's just trying to save the other person.
That's the whole point right there. That shit needs to break.
Yeah.
That shit needs to break. But that's up in the top 5 causes of the wrongful convictions and the illegal incarceration, man. Mass incarceration, too.
And they would never accept it because their posses would come to support each other. And we will come up and defend the innocent, no matter what it takes.
Exactly, man. But those people must come forward and stand up, man.
Yeah.
They must come forward and stand up because, see, don't nobody want to stand for what's right. Don't nobody want to contribute to a righteous cause until it happened to them,
yeah,
or a loved one or a friend of theirs. It never fails. I'm going to give you a prime example. See, they have a law that they passed, the fastest bill that in U.S. history that was ever passed, and it's called the PREA Act. Mm-hmm. It's a prison reform act against people getting raped and sexually abused in prison. That was the fastest bill that was ever passed.
Wow.
Why we can't come together and push for laws, reform of bills to be enacted in today's law, man, and it be effective and honored.
Do you think somebody who's been incarcerated and wrongfully convicted and then exonerated, they can ever come back to a normal life, or do you think they've been scarred forever?
I would say a mutual role, good and bad. I'm gonna explain myself. A good role, well, it exposed the truth nationally. I went down as being labeled, categorized, and classified as a murderer. I mean, just for a hot second, could you imagine your name being connected with the word a murderer? Lydell Grant, the murderer who stabbed. I mean,
it's soul shaking.
I mean, it's like, okay, the world, they see me as being that. Okay, time went on, then I reappear. Now it's my turn, and that's how I look at it. That's why I don't turn down no interviews, not unless it's, an interview from somebody that I don't really just want to deal with. But I don't turn down interviews because you got to understand, it's not about me. I got people that I left behind that I gave hope to, man. I gave hope to a lot of people around the world that's incarcerated. And I feel as though that was a good thing as far as, the aftermath, but in the beginning, how they slandered me and, mischaracterized my name and defamed. I mean, you got to understand, I was a local celebrity about to take off and be national with my music, So I look at it like, now that I'm back, God, He made me bigger than I ever imagined. I knew that I was going to be popular with my music, but I didn't know that I was going to be this. He made me more popular than than I ever imagined, man. I mean, do you know that I had people come from Denmark, Greece, Nigeria, Austria. These folks then flew down here and came and interviewed me and took my story back to their country to publicize that. So, I mean, my case is internationally known. The way I look at it, it can be good and bad, but I'm gonna always run with the good. So it really turned out for the good. See, that's what God say. God say things will turn out for the good for those who love the Lord.
Wow.
I'm gonna give you an analogy on what I'm speaking on. If you take a cake, right, you know how good a cake tastes when it's finished? Now,
yeah.
Anything, all the ingredients that it takes to bake the cake, if one was to eat them individually, it would be a distasteful taste in your mouth, right or wrong.
Yeah.
You got the flour, you got the salt, you got the butter, you got the eggs, you got sugar, I mean, whatever else you add, you got all that. Individually, you taste them one by one, it's gonna be distasteful to you. But once you blend them all together,
wow,
and make that cake mix, pour that cake mix in that pan and put the pan in the oven and let the oven do what it do. At the end of that, after you go through the heat, at the end of that, you come out of cake, you taste that cake. It came out for the good. That cake tastes good as hell. The same thing with life, man.
Yeah.
God, everything that comes together, it comes together for the good. So in my situation, distastefully, individually, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, it would have been distasteful. But I went through all of what I went through for the good. And the good is not only to be an inspiration to others and not to only give people who's at the bottom hope, who don't have hope. Man, I mean, it put me on a higher plateau. It put me in a better position, and I mean, can't no amount of money pay for what I lost. You know what I'm saying? So it's not even about that. I don't even give a damn about no compensation money because I got the Lord on my side, man. I got more money than any rich person that's living that you can name of. And not only that, I got happiness, man. I got joy. I got joy in my heart. So I'm at peace, man. Been at peace. And like I say, these are the things that I look at which keeps me from having a demonic mindset. And, you know, I just want everybody to know that no matter what your situation look like, no matter how hard times may seem, no matter how, I'm talking about how low you are in your situation. If you got any type of knowledge of God, any type of knowledge of knowing that He's the only one that you need to turn to and tend to, if you have that type of knowledge, you will come from up under your situation because God is in control, not man. God is in control of all circumstances and situations. You never know why you might be going through what you're going through at the time you're going through it. You never know. But I guarantee you, if you turn to God and you really, really believe in your heart that He is in control and it's on His timing and it's His doing, you'll hear the voice. You'll start hearing when God speaks to you, and that'll put you at ease while you're going through the storm. Because in the beginning, though, I was trying to figure out how I became a suspect. What did I do? What did I do to get in this situation? I know I ain't killed nobody. I ain't stabbed nobody. I've been in worse situations to where, you know, a result like that there could have resulted. But I ain't never put no harm or no violence up on a human being, man. Because I believe in the Bible, man. The Bible says there should not kill. And the question is, how can a human being, right? A human being take the life of another?
Yeah.
And why did it take 18 months for me to be exonerated when they had all the evidence they needed?
Yeah. Why did it keep you longer after they knew that you were innocent?
That's what we need to be asking the justices that was on my case in the CCA. We need some questions. We need some answers to these questions, man. Why did it take so long when y'all had the evidence that y'all require a defendant to have to be exonerated or to be brought back to court and the case be reinvestigated? Why did y'all wait or drag y'all foot on Lydell Grant case when he presented, him and his lawyers presented to y'all the evidence that was required by the court? Why did y'all take so long? What made y'all stall on his case and not exonerated him? Because at one point in time, I was going to be the fastest exoneree in the state of Texas, man.
They wouldn't want that.
But they failed. They drugged me, man. They drugged me out. You know what I mean? But God was with me the whole time. I don't give a damn what they was trying, what they had in mind, or what they was intending to do. If it wasn't what they did, the right thing, it wasn't going to work, man. God chose me for this right here, man. I'm a living proof.
A lot of the exonerees that I've interviewed, one thing I've seen synonymous in all of them is that I didn't find them to be hateful or angry or like having any animosity towards what happened to them.
Well, I mean, it's behind you. The time to be angry was while you was going through it, right, in the beginning, and while you was going through it. But to be blessed, to receive a great reward, a great result, a great ending, a victory, that washes away all the bitterness, all the hatred, all the anger, all the frustration towards the person or, the machine, which is the system that got you placed in the situation from the get-go. Being able to be out and not be locked up for the rest of your life as they gave you life for 50 or 60, however much time, just to be able to have a shot at life again, that erases all of that, man. Yeah. because the time for all that is in the beginning. You know, going to trial, the result at trial, and then getting down there in prison to put up with the corruption and foul play that's behind them barbed wire fences and metal gates and concrete walls, man. You know, to be able to be delivered away from that, man, and to be able to have another shot at life, there's nothing to be bitter about or to complain about. The only thing is to be thankful and grateful that you're out and that you got another shot at life and you can move forward, man. And I think I demonstrated that to the world as much as possible, and I'm going to continue to demonstrate that, man.
This is Fair Play on justicenews.net.